Hey everybody, how you doing? I hope you guys are doing well. I want to say welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and today we have some bad news from the Supreme Court. It looks like affirmative action has pretty much been killed by the Supreme Court. The court just made a big ruling against affirmative action. According to CNBC, they said that the Supreme Court rejects affirmative action at colleges as unconstitutional. The Supreme Court ruled that the affirmative action admissions policies of Harvard and the University of North Carolina, which gave weight to a would be student's race, are unconstitutional. The ruling is a massive blow to decades old efforts to boost enrollment of racial minorities at American universities. The court's majority opinion said that both Harvard and UNC's affirmative action programs, quote, unavoidably employ race in a negative manner involving racial stereotyping and lack meaningful endpoints. Justice Sonia Sotomayor, in a sharp dissent to the opinion, said today this court stands in the way and rolls back decades of precedent and momentous progress. So, affirmative action is pretty much dead. Affirmative action is going to disappear at college campuses. If you have kids that are going to go to college soon, you might want to just sort of prepare yourself for the fact that these opportunities that existed maybe when a lot of us were coming up are not going to exist anymore. Anyway, I'd like to know, how do you guys feel about that? Give me a yes if you think it was a good decision. Give me a no if you think it was a bad decision. No means bad, yes means good. And also, as I move forward, I hope you'll allow me to shout out my brother and his Black-owned business is helping to support this podcast. Michael runs a company that has supplements that help you with the bone and joint issues and aging, anti-aging solutions. His website is bodynaturalnutrients.com/B1. That's bodynaturalnutrients.com/B1. So I hope you'll check out this Black-owned business because they help support the podcast. If you'd like to get a shout out, just go to drboycefinance.com. That's drboycefinance with an F.com. All right. So as we were talking about earlier, affirmative action has been kind of pushed out by the Supreme Court. This ruling is no surprise given the nature of the court. This also shouldn't surprise you if you happen to be Black. I've been Black for a long time now, and one of the things I know about various civil rights, and this connects to the civil rights movement, is that one of the problems with the civil rights movement, which created things like affirmative action, which created things like race, laws related to race as it pertains to violence, hate crime laws, all that stuff. The problem with a lot of the civil rights movement gains is that these are gains that can be rolled back very quickly, very easily if white people ever get mad at you. If white folks decide they don't like you anymore, or if the political tide turns in America, then everything that you work for is going to go away. And for example, right after slavery ended, if you recall, how many of y'all know this? Dr. Claude Anderson's been telling you this for years in Powernomics and Black Labor, White Wealth. There was a promise that Black people will receive 40 acres and a mule. They said, okay, let's do the right thing by Black people. Let's give them 40 acres and a mule. Well, as soon as Abraham Lincoln got killed, they rolled back that 40 acres and a mule. They rolled that back. And then right after slavery, there was a lot of progress being made on behalf of Black people politically from your so-called allies. And then that movement came to an end. They kind of slowed down and killed that. So what I'm going to say is that the most sustainable movements for Black people are those that we control. The most sustainable way to gain wealth and power in this country is to truly gain wealth and power in this country. I'm not going to say that affirmative action is bad. I am a product of affirmative action. When I joined the faculty at Syracuse University, in that business school at Syracuse, they had 5 or 6 different departments. Not one single department in the entire business school had one single African-American faculty member. Do you hear what I'm saying? Literally, in all their departments, all 5 or 6 of them, not one single Black person was on the faculty. So there was a guy named Howard. I don't remember his last name, but they gave Howard a bunch of money, and they gave him, because of things like affirmative action, they gave him money to go recruit people like me. And they said, look, just go do what you got to do to get some Black people here because we want to bring them in. Now, it was very sloppy. It was kind of terribly done. We got there. We had no mentors. We had no support. It was a complete shit show. I mean, there were three of us that were brought in. We felt like the Little Rock Nine. It was very stressful. And two out of three of us ended up leaving the university. Now, one out of the three did make tenure, and she did stay at the institution, but they treated her so poorly that the way things work in academia is once you make tenure, everybody congratulates you. They say, way to go, good job, awesome, congratulations. Tenure is kind of like welfare for smart people. It's a lifetime job. Well, they didn't do that for the black woman. I remember the black woman specifically told me that when she got tenure and they made the announcement, only 1 out of 15 people in her department congratulated her because they assumed that she was unqualified. And so really, this is kind of what happens when you allow yourself to be sucked in by false promises. When you get sucked in under this guise that somehow you're going to be brought into someone else's institution, put under someone else's umbrella, and be treated like an equal, that just ain't how the world works. There's nothing about human nature that says that these white folks are going to move you into their businesses, into their institutions, their universities, and treat you as if you built the thing just like they did. They're just not built that way. They're not going to do that. You know, if you go to Princeton University, I think they still have a building named after Woodrow Wilson or something. An entire school, the public administration school, I believe, named after Woodrow Wilson, who was one of the most notorious racists of all time. In fact, I'm not sure, but I think he might have actually been affiliated with the KKK. And so you got this building named after a notorious racist. But you're not going to change it just because black people got to campus. They look at black people and they say, you know what? We want diversity in terms of skin color. We maybe want a little diversity in terms of ideas because we love to steal black people's culture because y'all are the best, most interesting culture in the world. But we really don't want diversity when it comes to sharing power. You see, the thing about it is that kumbaya stuff goes out the window when you talk about sharing power, sharing money, sharing resources, and deciding the direction of that institution. So I'm not here to say that I'm happy that the Supreme Court made this decision. I'm not. I really am not. But I am going to say that maybe you'll learn something that I learned through time, that sometimes being kicked out of the white man's house forces you to build your own house. Did y'all hear what I just said? Let me know if you understand what I'm saying. Sometimes you got to have somebody break your plate before you create a plate. Sometimes you need somebody to cut off your food supply before you learn how to grow your own food. It sucks. I know it's not fair. I agree. Again, I'm a product of affirmative action. So if you ask me, I say, yeah, of course affirmative action should be in existence because y'all been stealing from us for 400 years. Okay, so yes, of course. But now that we're dealing with this, now what? Now what? Because I'm going to tell you like this. Let me tell you like this. Your ancestors had no affirmative action. 100 years ago, black people had no access to any affirmative action plans at all, but they own more businesses than you do right now. They had no race-based preference programs anywhere, but yet their children were better educated than your children. They had families that were stronger than the families you have right now. They were doing stuff 100 years ago that you can't even do right now. Well, why is that? Well, some would argue that perhaps it's because you were given a crutch. How is it that without affirmative action, without the white man's help, they were able to own more land than you own right now? Y'all tell me, answer that question for me, please. Because I don't know the answer. I know the answer, but I don't know the answer. I need y'all to answer that for me, please. So maybe, just maybe, we'll learn a lesson that I learned a long time ago. I learned this lesson actually in love. I had this really mean girlfriend 30 years ago that in college. She was just complete bitch. Just really, I mean, seriously, like just not somebody you want to date. But, you know, I was trying to be nice and whatever. I didn't even like the girl that much. And for whatever reason, I got attached to this girl. You know, I that was my woman. I wanted to be with her, whatever. And her name was actually the same as my mother. Her name, well, I'm not going to, I don't want to put her on blast, but she was terrible. I'm glad she married someone else. I feel sorry for her husband right now. And one day she tells me, I'm going to leave. I'm going to date somebody else. I'm out. And I was very sad. You know, I went straight into baby, please don't go. Please don't go. And then I learned the hard way at the age of 21 that the worst thing you can do, just a little piece of advice, a little Uncle Boyce advice, The worst thing you can do when somebody's about to leave is to beg them to stay. You just, especially as a man, because that shows weakness, and women just aren't attracted to weakness. The best thing you can do is go live your best life. Go get you some options. We talk about options all the time in terms of stock options, but that's the same thing in terms of life. You always want to have options. So really, if I could do it over again, I would have just went out and found somebody who really loved me, or who could love me, or who could really be the woman that I really wanted. But instead, I spent time trying to get back the woman that I could not have because I was a kid and I was stupid. Well, guess what happened? After this girl left me and broke my heart and made me sad, I met another woman who was much prettier than she was, who was much nicer than she was, who could throw down in the bedroom far better than she ever could, who was a far better fit for me than she ever was. So what I realized in hindsight is I said, man, you know what? I'm so happy right now with this new situation I'm in that I want to send my ex a thank you card for pushing me out of this situation that I was in, which is almost like an addiction to this person that was not good for me. Well, I kind of think that we kind of have that same relationship with the white man. I really do. I think it's like a love-hate relationship. I think that despite the fact that you complain all day about white folks and you complain what they're doing to you really secretly kind of love them. Secretly, you're kind of a white supremacist. Secretly, you kind of feel like if they validate you, then you're better off. If they hook you up, then you're in a better situation. That if they hire you, you're going to have a better life. That if they give you the fancy job at the corner office and label you in some way, that you're somehow successful. That's why you see all the Negroes on TV fighting for Grammys and Oscars and all these other awards that don't mean anything. But still, we want those because that validation is really important. So it's kind of an addiction. Well, sometimes the biggest blessing you can have, and a lot of B1 people, you are blessed in this way. The biggest blessing you can sometimes have is to be completely rejected by the people from whom you're seeking approval. You see, we think of rejection as a type of pain, right? Nobody likes rejection. I know I don't. It's very painful to go through. But one thing I've learned about life is that typically the pathway to heaven is paved through the road called hell. That in order to get to heaven, you got to go through hell. In order for you to be open to receive the blessing that is really for you, you got to be yanked away from the curse that was not for you. Sometimes you get dumped, just like I got dumped by this girl that I thought I loved, and it opened the door for me to have a better situation. And then eventually, years later on down the line, I married my wife. My wife is 100 times prettier and kinder and sweeter and more intelligent than that woman ever was. But if I had never, ever been forced, if life had not broken my plate, I never would have had a chance to be with my wife. I wouldn't be where I am right now. I wouldn't be the man that I am right now. So what I'm saying to you, and I hope you get this point, give me a yes if you're following this analogy. You guys know how I am. I like analogies. And I saw somebody in here mention that comedian, the comedian Corey Holcomb, who I guess apparently he's beefing with me, but I don't. If you beefing with me, I got to beef back. So I ain't whatever he's got to say. I don't care. Keep telling jokes. You funny. Good for you. All right. So here's the point. The point of the matter is to say that we know the Supreme Court has ended affirmative action. Okay. To some extent, that's like a dismantling of integration. That's kind of what that is. We've spoken extensively about some of the flaws of integration. You traded land ownership, your business ownership, stable families, and educating your kids, and you traded all that in for corporate jobs and student loans and a lifetime of agony and misery with baby mama-itis spreading like COVID. Baby mama-itis is everywhere. Black misery is everywhere on the job. Student loan debt crises is killing Black wealth. And most of y'all, even the ones of y'all that got good jobs, are not happy getting up and going to work every day. Give me a yes if you understand what I'm saying. Even if you're making good money, some of y'all making over 100 grand a year, but you don't enjoy getting up to go to work on Mondays because you got to go deal with Bob in accounting who pisses you off and makes you want to jump across the desk and kick him in his face. So I say that we do what I believe God intended, which is to take every situation and turn it into a blessing. Take every curse and turn it into an opportunity. Take every setback and turn it into a chance to move forward. And I say that we shift the culture. I say we shift the culture from one of employment to one of ownership. I say we shift the culture to one of seeking income to one that also seeks wealth. I say we shift the culture from simply being invited on board the bus to actually building the bus, owning the bus, and driving the bus. I want to drive the damn bus. I don't want to be a passenger. I don't care how fancy your bus is, because you got me in the back of the bus anyway, and that's if you don't put me off the damn bus. I'd rather ride in my hoopty. At least my hoopty belongs to me. My little raggedy ass black-owned business, at least that's the place where I get to be the king of that castle. I get to decide what the policies are going to be. I don't have to complain about this fake trickle-down politics, trickle-down economics, trickle-down whatever that occurs in this society that has never really respected or appreciated me as a black man. This is real life, y'all. This is real life. When I was at Syracuse University, it was prestigious, you know, like that's a nice school. Got a lot of props for that. But there's nothing that compared to the power and the excitement I felt by building the Black Business School and having 156,000 students around the world and having people all over the planet that I bump into telling me that I helped change their life economically. I couldn't do that from a classroom in Syracuse when I'm talking to 30 white kids every semester. I couldn't. So what I'm saying to you is that in my life, this is real life I'm talking about. I'm not talking theoretically. God broke my plate because he said, Boyce, you're meant for something bigger and more important than this. God broke my situation down because he said, this ain't where you're supposed to be, man. You know, God took away what I wanted because I wasn't wise enough to understand he had a vision for me that was bigger than anything I could have imagined at the age of 32 years old. I think the same thing is true for a lot of you. So don't look at this as a setback. Just look at this as an opportunity to grow. In 50, 100 years, once our grandchildren have taken these ideas and internalized them, and we've left them some wealth and taught them to be on the cutting edge of economic thought and taught them how to work together and taught them how to manage their emotions, taught them how to be the smartest person in the room, they're going to be making $1 trillion deals by the year 2100. There are going to be black people running $1 trillion companies in just a couple of generations. That's the future that I see. I'm not building for 2023. We're building for 2070. In 2070, that's when you're going to see black people running the world, and they're going to hate us just as much as people hate Jewish people. Why do they get mad at Jewish people? Because Jewish people got all the damn money. That's why people get mad at the Jewish people. So the biggest problem your grandkids are going to have is that they have all the money, all the power, and they're making all the acquisitions, and they can't be stopped. They won't be sitting around waiting for somebody to implement an affirmative action program in order for them to get ahead. Can I get an amen if you agree with what I'm saying? I know I feel like I'm preaching right now. I don't mean to preach, but I'm sorry. Sometimes if God tells you to do it, you got to do it. And that's what I'm doing. So that's my 2 cents, guys. I hope that this conversation has been beneficial to you. I hope that you can see things in a certain way. God bless you. And my name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. This is drboycetv.com. My website is boycewatkins.com. On my website, I have a lot of stuff there. Like there's a free training called How to Make Money Without Working. There is a free $5 a day investing plan. There is a free masterclass in Powernomics training. We do Powernomics training every single Wednesday. We've been doing this for years consistently. Reading Powernomics with the community is for free. Doesn't cost you a nickel. So feel free to take a look at that. And then most importantly, also in addition to that, I have a new book out called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. It is on Amazon. You can also get a copy at boycewatkins.com. And don't forget, the All Black National Convention happens October 20th in Atlanta. You can go to allblacknationalconvention.com to learn more, or you can go to boycewatkins.com. I put information there, but allblacknationalconvention.com as well. So feel free to go take a look at that. All right, guys. Well, have a wonderful day. God bless you. Thank you so much for listening. And I hope you'll hit the thumbs up button and subscribe and hit the notification bell on your way out. And also those of you listening on Spotify, bless you too. And if you want to ever listen, just go to Spotify, look up my name. You'll find it there. So have a good day, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. And I'll talk to you guys again very, very soon. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV.